Hi everybody, welcome to the Sphere IT podcast. My name is Peter Ratcliffe. I'll be hosting the podcast today. Again, we're broadcasting from Insurtech Insights in London. It's 19th of March 2024, and I'm honoured to invite Kagabo to the podcast, who works for Greenlight Capital, a very important player in the insurance and reinsurance space, big investment company. Welcome, Kagabo.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Good. So I was really excited to get you on here because I looked at your background, industry expert, been around a bit, know the marketplace, working for a very innovative business. Can you tell me a little bit about your background, where you started, where you are now, and what you do?
Yeah, thanks. So I started my career in the US. I went to school there, college. Then I ended up doing actuarial science. My first job was in MetLife, a large insurer out of Rhode Island. I was doing property and casualty stuff. So eventually I moved to Liberty Mutual, which is a well-known carrier. And I was an actuarial student, graduated from the actuarial program and did a lot of reinsurance pricing at Liberty. So then eventually I moved to the Cayman Islands to work for Greenlight about 13 years ago. So first I went as a reserving actuary, and then I moved into pricing. So and then I was heading up the pricing and analytics team. But for the last 2.5 years, I head up the innovation underwriting group.
Wow. Yeah. So what is the heart of the business then? Can you describe that and talk a little bit about what you do in your area?
Yeah, so Greenlight overall is a reinsurance company, started in Cayman in 2004. For a while, we were doing a lot of regular old reinsurance treaties behind insurance companies in the US. In 2017, we changed our strategy. So we now have an office in Cayman, in Dublin, and here in London. But we started doing a lot more London market business. So we do a lot of business at Lloyd's, still traditional reinsurance. But along that change in strategy, we started investing in innovation. So we take, minority investments into different Insurtech companies, mostly MGAs. And then alongside with that, we provide them with capacity through our Cayman paper as reinsurance. And we also have a Lloyd's syndicate that we opened up about 2 years ago. That's the only innovation syndicate at Lloyd's.
Wow.
So right now we have about 40 companies in our portfolio, which is a mix of both investment and underwriting. So we write about maybe 150 to 160 million of premium in our portfolio, and we're looking to grow.
Wow. So how are you selecting those partners? Are they generally in the typical space that you work in, or are you trying to diversify the model?
It depends, right? So, one of the things we discovered earlier on, because obviously we started the unit 6 years ago, there's some areas that are hard to compete in. So a lot of the personal lines, the big carriers have it covered, right? So we like a lot of niche products, especially the ones that maybe might be too small for the big companies, but they are not too small for us. So we do stuff in like short-term rental, we do some stuff in travel, we do some stuff in cargo, really innovative product. So that's usually an interesting area, a very innovative product that, you can kind of control and, make sure that the loss ratio performs quite well. But we still do the traditional markets. But when we do that, we bring other capacity alongside with us, maybe that have a lot more resources and knowledge.
Sure. So on the innovation side, these businesses they've got an idea which is powered by technology, modern technology.
Yeah.
They're maybe applying different types of AI or data sciences to the problems. Can you talk a little bit about one that you're actually quite impressed with and you thought, that's quite an interesting business, they're doing it slightly differently?
Well, so obviously everybody has different technologies, and for us, either are you doing some innovative underwriting, or do you have some sort of software you're using to do things differently? We like a lot of embedded products. So one we are really particularly keen on is called Vertical. It's based out of the US, and they really it's a vertical software, if you will. They embed themselves in the software program of their different customers. So for example, if it's like a sports club, and they have a software that they use for parents to book their kids soccer
Sports, yeah.
season or things like that.
Spond or something like that, yeah.
So we'll provide insurance through the software as an addition to the booking for the parents.
Awesome.
So the distribution then is quite easy. Also, there's a lot of policies, so it's easy to sell those policies in many ways without necessarily spending too much money. And we like those kinds of products as well.
Yeah, I think the way the world goes with embedded financial services anyway is really interesting.
Yeah.
I think insurance generally, it's not a friendly space for customers. It never has been.
No.
Even in the P2P market. I don't want to buy insurance, but in that kind of environment where you're tagging on to something that's important, the health and wellness.
It's very easy to buy. You don't need to fill out all sorts of forms without understanding what's covered. Everything is covered in some senses.
But from an analytic point of view in that example, isn't it more, you have to expedite that capability to provide the price. So how does that change through the technology and how you underwrite it?
So we pre-agree on rates, with our MGAs. So we already know how the product is going to perform. We obviously incentivize them to make sure that they perform quite well. But that's, again, the reason why we like those products is because if there's an adverse development, because it's quite short tail, you can change the scheme, right? You can change the pricing. You are learning as you go quite quickly. And those are the kinds of products we like. Some of the traditional insurance products, it's going to be years before you know how it's performed. So we still do that. And, a lot of companies in our portfolio do that. But, the ones that you can actually adjust as you go are the ones that we're particularly interested in.
So would you say a lot of your modern portfolio or innovation portfolio is all US based at the moment and you're trying to pivot
there's a lot of US. We have quite a lot of Europe now, especially with the opening of the syndicate. So we have a team. Our team is mostly based in Cayman, but now we have a team in London. Who are also sourcing opportunities. We have opportunities in Australia. So we're kind of a bit worldwide. Hence why we're at this conference as well, because we need the conversation to continue going. We're interested in Europe a lot. There's a lot of opportunities coming from here. And Lloyd's is a great market as well.
And there's a lot of regulation coming as well around AI.
Yeah, that's right.
You're probably aware of the EU mandate recently and how rather typically vague a lot of it is.
Yeah.
How do you see that going when you're looking at these kind of influential relationships for insurance, for example? Because there's, from what I understand of some of the regulations, you've got subliminal messaging, which can be quite difficult to prove or disprove in AI. What's your position on that when you're thinking about it?
I don't have a position necessarily. So Europe is quite highly regulated, as you can imagine, especially also, working at Lloyd's. So there's a lot of, especially as a syndicate, there's so many hoops you have to go through. Only because they've learned, right? So they have hundreds of years of experience behind the regulation. When it comes to AI, we have a company actually called Armilla. Armilla AI, they're out of Canada. We invested in them and we provide them capacity. So we provide AI guarantee for models, for model performance. So if the model doesn't deliver quite the level of performance that they have promised their customers, there's a guarantee behind that.
Right. So you're already dispelling harm that could happen ahead of time.
Exactly. And the second thing will be they are interested in developing further products that will help with the AI model, to limit some of that damage. So those guys we're finding particularly interested.
I have to look into them. I'd love to have a conversation. Okay then, crystal ball. What is the insurance industry going to look like over the next 5 years? How different would it look?
I don't think it will be that much different. People think insurance is going to change. It's ready for disruption and everybody's going to come in, A lot of the technology that many people are brought into, the legacy companies are obviously using it in some ways. They still have a lot of scale, so they've been around for a long time, and I still think they will still be there for a long time. I think our advantage is that we are small and agile. We don't have the scale. It's not a bureaucracy, so we can get things done quite quickly, and we've demonstrated that. Eventually, obviously, we're going to become quite a big scale as well. But I'm saying that the legacy companies are still going to control the market, and that, the cycle is going to continue, at least for now. Now, in 10 years from now, it might be completely different. A lot of the early Insurtech winners, they are going to grow, and maybe they're going to push the market alongside with them.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're still a little bit early in the Insurtech space. Yeah.
I think so. If you look at the banking market back in the day, how quickly fintech, the sort of the big players in that space just embraced it. They were already on it. They already had incubators. Insurance has been a bit slower to catch up, but it's happening.
Yeah.
And I think, the likes of the hyperscalers creating marketplaces. There's a lot of noise, a lot of positivity around what can happen. There's going to be, if I can't beat them, I'm going to join them type investment.
There is that, right? And I mean, this conference has grown like crazy. I mean, there's almost now an Insurtech conference everywhere in Vegas, here in Asia. And you can see a lot of legacy carriers now attending, and they also have dedicated departments to this innovation. So it's going to change. It changes slow, but, sometimes once the floodgates open, there's no stopping it. Is it in 5 years? I don't know. Because one of the things going on in the insurance market right now, it's a very hard market, so they are doing quite well, insurers. So maybe some that might slow down some of the some of the capacity innovation.
If it's not too broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Look,
yeah.
Kagabo, love speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
So much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity.
No, brilliant.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Yes.